Okay, good day again, students. As indicated in our last lecture in chapter 9, we said that we're going to focus on the next chapter. The next lecture will be on motivating students to learn. Student motivation and learning is a big area of educational psychology, and so we'll get right into it immediately. Okay. Our focus for this chapter would be on what is motivation all about, and we'll also look at some theories of motivation, as well as how we can achieve a situation where students can be driven to achieve through motivation. In other words, how can achievement motivation be enhanced, and what teachers can do to increase students' motivation to learn. Okay, so what is motivation in education? Basically, motivation is what drives us to achieve. It is what activates those internal processes where we get locked onto our target, we get engaged in the classroom, we get focused in the classroom, we pay attention, we would want to or desire to learn. Of course, it comes with some level of intensity, some level of focus, some level of direction. As you can see here, the little image that was selected, you have bullseye, you have lights going on, you have the heart that shows the love is in it, the trophy to be attained. It is time focused, time bound, and then there are different incentives. You see $sign might be an incentive, etc. Okay. Sources of motivation. First, there's a personal characteristic. Some personalities are more motivated than others. Then there's intrinsic characteristics of a particular task. There are tasks that we attempt that are more motivating than other tasks. And then there are sources of extrinsic motivation. So let's look at motivation and behavior learning theory. You know, we dealt with behavior learning theory as developed by Skinner, behaviorism, that focuses mainly on rewards and punishment, or reinforcement and punishment. And many times, motivation is tied to rewards and reinforcement. However, it has been identified that that theory is inadequate to explain all of human motivation, because human motivation is more complex. You may not always require a reward to be motivated. There are things that you do for doing its sake. You're just interested. You just like to read or just like to study. And there are things that you might pursue for an altruistic means. You reach out and you help others. You're not looking for reward. You're a charitable person. You're a kind person. It is not because you are going to be rewarded while you do that. That is just part of who you are. And of course, potential reinforcers are also determined by personal or situational factors. So you might be driven by reinforcers, yes, but those reinforcers can change when your personal situation or circumstance changes. For example, you would like a particular job and you cannot attain that job. You can't get the job at a particular time. But why do you want the job? You want the job because of some sort of a, extrinsic reinforcement. You want to be paid, you want to be fulfilled in your career, etc. So what do? You can't obtain the job because of a personal situation or circumstance. And you do the next best thing. You might choose a job that is similar. You might even volunteer to do the job without any remuneration, because it gives you that opportunity for some sort of fulfillment. Also in classrooms, it's oftentimes very difficult to identify exactly what motivation determined a particular behavior. Sometimes you might think it's because of reward, sometimes you might think because the child wants attention, sometimes you might think it's because the child just want to, improve or achieve. So it's sometimes So two individuals can be motivated by very different things. So a student might give an answer, not to get praise, because he just wants to speed up the lesson, get the lesson carried on. He just wants the lesson to be over, or she wants the lesson to be over. So they give as many correct answers as possible. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is also another theory of motivation that focuses on human beings' needs, the deficiency needs, like physiological needs for food, water, clothing, for air, safety needs to be in a safe environment, to feel a sense of love and belonging, and to feel a sense of esteem from achievements. But these are deficiency needs because once they are satisfied, there's no longer need to be fulfilled. So once you're filled, once you've eaten a proper meal, nutritional satisfaction and gustatory satisfaction, and your tastes are satisfied and you feel good, satiated, you don't need to continue to eat. So that need is, once you feel in a safe environment, you don't need the environment to be safe beyond when you feel that you're in a safe environment. Needs for belonging and love. Once you're receiving love and you're giving love and you feel a sense of belonging, that need is diminished. Whereas growth needs to know and to understand that sometimes they are continuous. It's because we grow and develop and we expand, and when we grow and we, you know, these are growth needs. These are not easily satisfied. Okay? So we need to understand and appreciate is never fully satisfied. We want more, we keep enhancing. And then of course, self-actualization, as the pinnacle of human achievement, when we reach the point where we are no longer tied to the things of this world, tied to the things of this earth. We are transcended the mundane things of life. Persons like Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Bill Gates, possibly, would have been self-actualized. You know, their desires go beyond simply achieving things to one of becoming the best that they can be. There's also motivation that is linked to the attribution theory. And this theory is basically focuses on what do we attribute to our success or failure? When we succeed, why do we say we succeed? Of course, there's a tendency to, when we succeed, to say, well, it's because of how bright I am, how intelligent I am. And it's personal. And when we don't succeed, we say, well, oh gosh, the test was hard, I wasn't prepared, I didn't get time enough to prepare. Current when the internet was fluctuating, and a whole host of things. My mother got COVID, I had to go in the hospital, and so forth. And your mother got COVID the day before the exam, but you had a month to prepare for the exam. So we either attribute our success or failure to internal or external factors that are either stable or unstable, or controllable or uncontrollable. And if you look at the two cartoons here, you would see attribution taking place. You could read it and you would understand what the attribution is. Venus is asking, why are you always anxious to criticize me? She says, I just think I have a knack for seeing others' faults. But what about your own faults, Venus asked. I have a knack for overlooking them. So it just shows what we attribute, you know, how we attribute our abilities to internal factors. And when there's something that shows us up, we cast it away from ourselves. Look at the second cartoon. Click, click, found. Oh, I'm so good. So he's saying that he's so good because he found it. And then the teacher is saying, not that you are so good, that site is so good. So again, success is being, he's trying to attribute the success to himself, his ability, and she's saying, no, it's external to you, it's the site. Then we can attribute our success and failure to ability that is either stable and internal. You say, well, I am bright, I'm good at math. But it should be more focused on effort that can be altered and internal. So we want to emphasize that students put out a lot of work, put out good effort to achieve. Because this effort is something that we can control. And not focus on the task difficulty, because task difficulty is external. How hard the test is or how easy the test is external to us. Students can't control that. Nor should they attribute their success or failure to luck. And say, oh, I got lucky. So performance shouldn't be based on luck, because luck is unstable. So sometimes you might be lucky, sometimes you can decide, well, there are 20 items to prepare for the test. I better do these five. These 5 look like they're going to come, or these 10 look like they're going to come, and ignore the others. And when they come, you say, oh, I was lucky. Because you can't control luck. Luck is an unstable factor. Ability, we shouldn't focus on ability because you're either good at math or not good at math. No, it should focus on effort, which is internal. I'll decide how much effort I'm going to put out, and it is controllable. And the cartoon here is an example of that. Attribution. Do you believe in luck? He says only bad luck. How else can I explain the losses I have made in the stock market? So he's not attributing the losses to himself or making bad investments or making bad choices, but he's attributing it to bad luck, which is something you want to discourage from students. Another means of motivation is locus of control and self-efficacy. Locus of control focuses on whether or not individuals believe that their sources of success or failure is controllable, and it's internal. If it's internal, say, well, okay, I could control how much effort I put out, I could control how much time I focus on studying and so on. If it's external, it's controlled by others. As seen in the cartoon, in the picture here, I control my destiny. So I believe what I do and how I do it. I am the center of my own locus of control. I want students to develop that. Whereas the external locus of control, it focuses on somebody else, they controlling. It depends on how the test comes. It depends on whether Sir or Miss do a good test or an easy test or a hard test. It depends on, I ain't doing so well because the teacher can't teach. No, you want to focus on internal factors that can be controlled. Also on self-efficacy, the belief that one can achieve. If one does not believe in one's ability, then it's very difficult to achieve. So self-efficacy is that focus or that belief that one can do well in math, in science, in whatever subject, whatever area the student is working on or working in. Motivation is also related to self-regulated learning. Self-regulated learning is closely related to students' goals, and highly motivated students are the ones who would plan, the ones who would carry out their plan, put their plan into action, and the ones who would, of course, retain information in terms of what they're studying. They're very deliberate, they're very focused. They're not leaving it to chance, not leaving it to luck. They're not saying, I wonder what's going to happen. They are getting out there and getting their work done. And the sources of motivation, self-regulated learning can be social modeling. When they see others doing well, they believe that they can do well as well. Goal setting goals. Okay, what grade do I want to get? How much effort do I need to put out to get that grade? What quality of work do I need to put out to get an A grade? What the amount of research I need to do do a good quality research paper? And of course, getting good quality feedback is important. So the more teacher utilizes those skills, and the more teacher focuses on development of engagement and investment in learning, that leads to better self-regulated learning students. Another theory of motivation in learning is the expectancy theory. And this theorist, Atkinson, advances that people are motivated to achieve depending on the product of the estimated and the chance of success. So the expectancy balance model is where, based on the perceived probability of succeeding, motivation is put forward, or individual gets drive from once they perceive that we will succeed. If they're doing a course or doing an assignment or doing trying to solve a problem that they see very low probability for success, motivation diminishes. And if the incentive is very high, they need to pass this course to graduate. They need to pass this course, as they will have to pay gate if they fail the course. And the incentive value is high, then when the probability of succeeding and as plus times yes and incentive value leads to good quality motivation. So additionally, students' belief in oneself, self-efficacy, and the value for what they're learning, plus the value from what they're learning, leads to success. So if there's no probability of succeeding, that's zero, but there's a high value for what needs to be done, then anything times zero is zero, so there'll be no motivation. If there's a high probability for success, but there's absolutely no incentive value for succeeding, there's no reason why I need to do this course, there's no value to me, I have no interest in it, then the probability of success times zero would also equal to zero, and motivation would be undermined as well. So motivation and achievement are tied to one another. Achievement motivation is striving for success, and therefore we would select success or failure activities based on how we are motivated. In the early years of education, achievement motivation is affected by family. We want to do well to have mommy's or daddy's approval, do good quality work. In the upper grades, success and motivation go hand in hand. So the more success students have, is the more they feel motivated, and vice versa. The more they feel motivated, the more they will go after that success. As we say, nothing succeeds like success. Motivation is also linked to goal orientation, or the goals that students pursue in a learning environment. Students can pursue learning-oriented goals where they want to learn the material for learning its sake, because they're interested in science, they're interested in math, they're interested in reading, they're interested in literature. They just want to learn, they just want to know more. And so this is non-competitive. It's knowledge for its own sake, and those students have a tendency to be resilient. I just want to learn to satisfy me, my own curiosity, to build my knowledge base. I'm not competing with anybody else. I just want to learn and to understand and to do better. And then there are those who are oriented by performance-oriented students. They want to get a good grade. They want to do better than others. And sometimes that leads to taking the easiest courses. I want to graduate with the best GPA. So I'm not going to take the course when this teacher is offering it because this teacher doesn't give A's. I'll go into this other teacher's class because she gives an easy A. So they avoid challenges because they just want to focus on getting the A. They want to focus on getting the A. And they're not interested in focusing on developing themselves. So the learning goal-oriented students are more or less motivated by gaining new knowledge in a particular given focus area, domain, or subject area. Whereas the performance-oriented students are focused on just getting the A, best in others, and doing what is required to look good in the eyes of others. Teacher expectations and achievement. Teacher expectations can be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. What the teacher expects is what the teacher would say. Oh yeah, I don't expect you all to do well. I don't think anybody here is going to pass SCA for a 7-year school or for a school on the higher tier of achievement. I don't expect any students here to become anything successful in life. And those kinds of, when those low expectations are aired or stated to students, it can have a negative effect on their motivation and on their achievement. Because if Miss also doesn't expect much from me, then should I expect anything from myself? But in some instances, it motivates students because students set out to prove the teacher wrong, prove their teacher expectations wrong in many instances, right? So teachers should communicate positive expectations and utilize wait time to communicate high expectations. When you ask a question, give students time to answer and not rush in with the answer if there's a pause. Give them time to think and come up with a response. That communicates high expectations, that belief, that waiting. Okay? Keep assessment and test results private. Don't just advertise everybody's test results. Because then those who are not achieving well will feel poorly about themselves. Guarding against bias and treating all students equally is also helpful in maintaining high quality expectations. Anxiety undermines achievement. And sometimes students complain about anxiety, that fear of not doing well, fear of failure, plus a loss of self-esteem. And it can cause difficulty in learning, difficulty in focusing, difficulty in transferring knowledge, self-consciousness in performance setting, not being able to write exams well, not being able to focus, and also it might lead to development of math anxiety. Intrinsic and extrinsic factors also impact upon motivation. Of course, the intrinsic incentives are people who enjoy learning for learning's sake, find motivation and fulfilling. The extrinsic incentives or rewards tend to be external to the activity. They're looking for compensation from the outside. So teachers must be realistic in this whole process and try to make learning not only intrinsically satisfying, but also there must be some rewards that students can attain as well. The impact of rewards on motivation, of course, avoid promising extrinsic rewards for activities that students enjoy. Because when you cannot give an extrinsic reward for what they already are enjoying intrinsically, then motivation will diminish. So students love doing spelling, they love doing reading, they love doing math. They don't need a reward for it because they already enjoy it. But if you give a reward, the day or time that you cannot give a reward, it becomes an extrinsic activity because then they're looking forward for the reward. And if you can't give the reward, they might be undermotivated or demotivated from participating in the activity that they were intrinsically rewarded for participating in. Intrinsic motivation generally declines from early elementary through secondary school. So students need more external factors going for them. Reward should be contingent on the quality of performance rather than participation activity. So based on quality contribution, students should get a reward, not just simply, okay, participation. Strategic use of both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation is critical too in most learning situations. So there are some principles for providing extrinsic incentives to learn. Express clear expectations, you know what you expect from them and how they will be rewarded. Provide frequent and immediate and clear feedback. Increase the value and the availability of the extrinsic rewards. Reward and emphasize effort and progress, improvement over time. So let students know it's not just about getting a grade, but it's about improving, about putting out their best effort, about doing high quality work. Teach students to praise themselves and not only look for extrinsic rewards. Use of praise effectively. Reinforce appropriate behavior. And provide feedback to students on what they're doing right. Some teachers only identify and criticize the negative, but also say, oh, you did a good job here, you did a good job there, but you just need to improve in these areas as well. Praise is effective when it is contingent, so it's based on specific achievements, it's specific, and direct achievements. It's specific, you know exactly what is being praised for. It's credible. It's not mama guy, as we say in Trinidad. Not overused. When it is neither too easy nor too difficult to obtain. So when praise is, that's when praise is most effective and most appropriate. So these are some interesting factors that we can use and interesting theories of motivation that we have covered here in Motivating Students to Learn, Chapter 10. We dealt with what is motivation, that internal drive to achieve. We looked at some theories of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic expectancy theory, goal orientation theory, Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs, behaviorism with rewards and punishments, and the deficiencies of some of those theories and the strengths of some of those theories. Locus of control attribution theory, self-efficacy, being driven internally by intrinsic rewards as opposed to externally by extrinsic rewards, but having a balance between both of them as a teacher doing that. We spoke about how achievement motivation can be enhanced and how teachers can increase students' motivation to learn by using different strategies and different approaches, by using incentives, by enhancing intrinsic motivation as well as extrinsic motivation and using praise appropriately. So thank you very much. So that's our lecture on student motivation to learn.